This episode of HXF TV. Got a lot of stuff to go over, so if you guys can bear with me, we're going to get into Brian's Geek Out world, get you guys some cool statistics on what happened in the Open. First and foremost, Amy and I just want to thank all of you that participated in this year's Intramural Open. It was another great event, and it was all due in part to you guys showing up week in, week out, putting in the effort, bringing your team spirit, bringing the fun, and just overall helping us put together another awesome event. So thank you guys so much for participating. I'm sure you're all wondering how the Open ended up finishing. Let's get right into it. The blue team actually ended up winning the spirit points for the final week for 17.5, largely in part to the mass quantities of alcohol that were consumed in their area, right? But regardless, they didn't end up getting enough points to get up on top of the leaderboard. In fact, as much as it pains me to announce this, the yellow team ended up winning week 5 and taking the lead away from red team. Yellow team ended up winning the overall Open with 397 points. Solid red team was in second place with 386. Green was in third with 362, and blue team ended up rounding out the bottom with 312. So congratulations to the yellow team for their win on this year's Intramural Open. I'm sure your team leader is going to be ecstatic that he won another Intramural Open, but either way, I had a blast. Hopefully you guys had a blast. I can't wait to do it again next year, and I really appreciate everyone that took part in it this year and made it such a good event. So moving on to an event that's coming up actually this weekend is Barbell Mayhem 4. That's going to be at Kingman CrossFit on Saturday from about 8 to 5. So if you guys don't have anything going on, you want to come up and support me, support the event. I am going to be competing in the event, and I think we have a crew of people that are going to be coming up on Saturday. But put that on your calendars if you haven't already. Come up and help support that event. They always help support all of our events. I know we've had a bunch of you guys asking about shirts and hats. We are going to be putting together another shirt order, getting some new shirts, hopefully, some hats, doing some muscle tanks, different things like that. So keep your eyes out on the blog and in your email inbox for the information on that. Also, things that have already, something that's already been brought to everybody's attention, hopefully on the blog, is our HXF Helping Havasu cause for the month of April. All April long, when you guys come to the box, we want you to check in on Facebook, use the hashtag HXF Helping Havasu and hashtag Keeping Teens Active. Every time you guys check in, we're going to donate to help teens pay their sports fees so that they can stay active and they can stay involved in sports. So help us, help them, do your part, and check into Havasu CrossFit on Facebook every time you guys come into the box. Now let's get into the fun stuff, the stuff I love, the numbers, right? So let's just start with the team. Our team, Havasu CrossFit, ended up finishing in the top 30% overall in the world against all the affiliates that competed in the Open this year. So the way it worked was every week the top 3 men RX and top 3 female RX scores contributed to our overall team score. At the end of it, we ended up in the top 30% of all affiliates. There was roughly 4,250 affiliates that were participating this year in the Open. So to be in the top 30% of that is pretty impressive. So all the numbers that I have up here, guys, are folks that took part in the Open and completed all 5 workouts, so that they actually had a score that I could get their numbers off of. And this is how they ended up finishing in the world. So just from the get-go, looking at this list, every single member in our gym that competed in the Open finished in the top 50% of the entire world. There was almost 400,000 participants this year in the Open, and all of the members at our gym that participated in the Open finished in at least the top 50%, if not better. So let's start right from the top of the list. We had Joe Merrill. He finished in the top 50% of his age bracket. Now all these numbers are how they finished in their age category or division. So whether they did it RX or whether they did it scaled, that doesn't matter. It really depended on how they ended up finishing in their age bracket according to that. So Joe ended up finishing in the top 50%. He also finished 125th overall in the Southwest region. and 38th overall in Arizona. Pretty impressive there, Joe. To be the 38th fittest man in your age category in Arizona is a pretty awesome statistic. Colby, he did his first open workout this year. His first open workout ever. He decided to do the scale division, and he placed in the top 39% in his age group in that division. Also finished 102nd overall in Arizona. So Nawal had some pretty cool statistics because Nawal completed the open last year, and last year she finished the open in the top 41% in her age category, and this year she ended up finishing the open in the top 38% in her age group. So super impressive to see how much progress she's made in the last year. Now we're going to get into the top 30% in the world. Alex finished in the top 30% of all CrossFitters in the world in his age group. Awesome job, Alex. Avery did the same as well, finishing in the top 28. This was Avery's first open ever in the teen division. She finally was old enough to compete in the teen division, and she placed 6th overall in Arizona. So now she's got a nice baseline. Next year we can really get after it and also make some progress over the next year. Hopefully get her to the games next year. I know she's chomping at the bit for that. Jeremy did his first official open this year, completed his first official open. He ended up finishing 27th overall in the world. But even cooler than that is that Jeremy got to compete against all the firefighters in the world and also in Arizona. And he ended up finishing 45th overall against all other firefighters in Arizona. So great job there, Jeremy. Chris Daigle ended up finishing in the top 26th percentile and also finished 97th overall in Arizona. Rhonda Merrill, first open completed ever. She did all the workouts RX. I know she was super proud of that, and we were super proud of her. But she ended up finishing in the top 23% in her age group, 40th in the region and 13th in Arizona. So good job, Rhonda. Nick Bliss ended up finishing in the top 21 percentile. Coming up to this side of the list, this is when we're getting into the top 20%. We have this many people in our gym that are in the top 20% in the world. Starting with my wife, who didn't even really know that she was competing. I was just inputting her scores every single week. But she ended up finishing in the top 19% of all women in the open category. Super impressed with her finish for her first open there. Steve had some pretty cool numbers. He ended up finishing last year in the top 21% in his age group. This year he ended up finishing in the top 16%. So finished in the top 16%, finished 64th overall in the region and 17th overall in the state in his age group. So great job, Steve. Good progress there. Lena, she did her first open workout this year, or official open this year as well, and she ended up finishing in the top 14 percentile in the skilled category, finishing 49th in the Southwest and 15th in Arizona. Great job, Lena. My brother was competing in the Masters category, the 35 to 39. This had over 40,000 guys competing in it, and he ended up finishing in the top 12%. So great job, bro. James ended up finishing in the top 11% of the men's open category. That's a super tough category. Great job, James. Now we're going to get into the top 10%. This is starting to get into the top 10% in the world, right? So Bethany finished in the top 8, roughly the top 8% in her age bracket this year. But more impressive than that was last year, Bethany finished in roughly the top 38% in the world. And this year, out of all women in the RX division, she finished in the top 10%. So she went from 38th to the top 10 percentile in 1 year. But this year, she also in her age bracket finished in the top 8% and ended up finishing overall 44th in Arizona. So great job, Bethany. Those are some really cool numbers. A lot of progress has been made in 2017 or in the last year for sure. Nick Rizzo, first official open, and he ended up finishing 8th in the top 8% in the world. Finished 4th as in the doctor division, 11th in the Southwest, 2nd in Arizona. So great job, Nick. Courtney and Deanna, they were head to head, neck and neck on the leaderboard, finishing in the top 7.6 or 7.7 7th percentile in their age category. On the leaderboard in Arizona, they were right next to each other, and then Bethany was a little bit further up the list than them, but it was kind of cool to see a bunch of HXF women side by side right there. Kelly had some crazy numbers when comparing to her last completed Open. So Kelly completed her last Open in 2014. She was roughly in the top 40% in the world at that point. This year she finished in the top 8% in the women's, the women's Open division essentially. In her age bracket, she finished in the top 6.5% though. So super awesome job there, Kelly. Some cool numbers coming back there for you. Jenny Bliss ended up finishing last year in the top 10%, and this year in the top 6%, roughly the top 6%. So lots of progress there. Liz, the top 5%, finishing 102nd in Arizona. Nate made some really big progress this last year as well. Last year he finished in roughly the top 10%, and this year he finished in the top 4% in the men's RX division. Super tough, super competitive, the men's Open division, finishing 112th overall in Arizona as well. So great job, Nate. Donna Ellsworth, she completed the Open in the women's scale division, but finished in the top 3% in the world in that category, and also finished 50th in the Southwest. So good job, Donna. Angie Deach finished the Open in 174th place worldwide in the world in her age division, 174th, which puts her in the top 1.6 percentile in the world. She finished in 13th place in the Southwest and second in all of Arizona. Now, Joe finished the Worldwide Open in 13th place in his age division. That puts him in the 0.35 percentile, the top 0.35% in the world in his age group. Also making him finish third in the Southwest and first in all of Arizona. And then I rounded out the list as well. Fortunately for Angie, Joe, and myself, we qualified to move on, or we did well enough to qualify for the Masters qualifier. We're moving on to the next process, or the next step in the qualifying process for the games. If you guys aren't familiar with it, in about 3 weeks from now, we're going to have to do 4 workouts in 4 days, and hopefully from that point, we'll be able to qualify for the games and move forward in that direction. And we'll kind of keep you guys updated when that stuff comes around or is going to be happening, so we can get you in there and hopefully cheering us on and supporting us, helping us get to the games. But either way, looking at this list, I am just blown away by these numbers and how much growth we have had in the last year. I'm super excited for the next year of training. I want to see what these numbers look like again next year. Keep up the good work, guys, and we'll see you in the box.